What's up, everybody? It's here, finally, after, people have been anticipating this one for a while. It's the Book of Boba Fett. This is a full-on spoiler review of the episode. It is out on Disney Plus now, so for people who are wondering, is it going to be spoilers? Yes, full spoilers on the Book of Boba Fett. A lot of questions answered, a lot of questions still out there, and new ones posed. So we're very excited to be talking about this one with you guys today. It's me on my lonesome, kind of going through what I saw, how I liked it, and I'm excited to talk to you guys about it. So let's get into this thing, man. It's the Book of Boba Fett spoilers. I'm ready.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus, makes you stronger.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Sith Council. It's me, Kristian Harloff, here to talk about Book of Boba Fett. Spoiler heavy. You're going to jump into it, go over the episode. I'm pumped for it, man. And for people brand new to the show, by the way, please go over the channel, subscribe, and hit the notification button, please. We get a Star Wars show every week, every Friday. We have another show called The Big Thing, where we interviewed Katie Sackhoff from Mandalorian. She was on the show. And other stuff that we do as far as reviews and trailer reactions and all that. But you're here for Book of Boba Fett. I'm here to talk about Book of Boba Fett. And, dude, I absolutely loved this episode, because I'll tell you why. I never wanted a Boba Fett movie. I never wanted a Boba Fett series. I didn't care. It was one of those things where, Boba Fett was cool, but I was never on the train of I needed a Boba Fett this, I needed a Boba Fett that. When Disney announced that they had bought Lucasfilm, I was like, and they had said that Han Solo was going to get a movie, Yoda was going to get a movie, Boba Fett was going to get a movie. I'm like, I'm not on the argument of the universe or the galaxy is smaller every time you do these characters, but I am if you do it the wrong way. I don't necessarily think we needed a Han Solo movie. Didn't hate it, just didn't think we needed it. There are certain times you just throw characters in there, and I don't think you need it. The Luke Skywalker in Mandalorian I thought was fantastic and fit the narrative of the story. So I always push back against people who said that made it smaller, because it didn't. But with this one, and using the Mandalorian as an example, they set Boba Fett up because Josh Trank was supposed to do a movie, and then Simon Kinberg at one point was doing, I think it was the same movie, the Tales of the Bounty Hunter and all that. And obviously with the addition of Disney Plus, they had more time to build the character of Boba Fett. And when you watch the gallery series from season 1 of Mandalorian, you see Filoni and Favreau setting up those spurs when Fennec Shand is down and out and looks like she's gone, and here come those spurs, and you're like, they knew that it's Boba Fett. And there's that one shot in the gallery series where, like, you think they're going to know? It's like, whether they do or not, this is going to be a great setup. And they set him up perfectly in the second one, and they set up what happens in this series with his code of honor. And I really like that a lot in Mandalorian, where Din was like, hey, okay, you can go now. He's like, nah, I can't. I told you I'd help you get the kid back, and you don't have him back. So until that is set, I can't help you. I can't leave. And he winds up helping him out. And then we see at the end of season 2, he's got a settled the score. He goes in, he wipes out Bib Fortuna, and he takes the throne, Jabba's palace, and here we are. So that was the setup. And you're like, okay, great setup. And then the trailers come out, and you're like, wait, this is the Sopranos in Star Wars? Okay, it's a gangster. Even in that setup in, what is it, in the Phantom Menace, you can't take them there. The Hutt's of gangsters, like that whole section of gangsters. And this is where we start out, and this is where we go into the show itself. So, and the first thing that we see, by the way, that's not it. Where the hell is it? I just did this whole thing. There it is. All right. The first thing that you see in the show is Jabba's palace. And we know, okay, I didn't know when you're starting it off. Like, what are we going to see now? We're going to see this. Are they going to recreate the whole thing to let people know? Okay, so if you need to get caught up, Boba Fett took the throne. No, they don't do that. They say, we hope that you've seen Mandalorian and the end of Mandalorian, because we're getting right into it. And then you see Boba in a tank, and you're like, well, what the hell's going on now? Where is he? Is this, like, what part of this? Why is he in a tank? Is he? It looks like he's chilling and relaxing, and it's ultimately he's healing. What he's doing as he's laying there, And then they answer the question right away of what this show is going to be. The Book of Boba Fett, right? And I always thought this is going to be chapters of his life in flashback, but I wasn't sure how they were going to do it. Was each episode going to be things that he did, how he did it, a full-on episode of chapters of his life in between Empire, Clone Wars stuff, all of that? And the answer was a mixture of all of it. It's a back and forth, and I hope that they do that. They go chapters of his life each and every episode, and they intertwine it with the Tales of the Bounty Hunter, intertwine it with the stuff that's happening now. That's what this first episode was, and why I dug it a lot. So you see, and they flashback right away the pain that he's been feeling all of his life about the death of Jango, and this is why some people have rumored Mace Windu to come back, and he wants redemption on him and all that. And I stand by what I said in the beginning here, that if it fits into the story the right way and they set it up the right way, then maybe I'll get to a point where I'm like, okay, they set it up well enough that I accept it. I just don't think I need to see Mace Windu come back. Love Sam Jackson. I just think that it was a nice ending to the fact that, they even were able to take out one of the most powerful Jedi. Because if not, what's he doing? He's been hanging out and not helping during this whole entire time because he's mad. It's another Luke situation. It's like, but it's for another time. But what we do get is we get young Boba, and then we flash back to him again. He's still in pain, but then we start to get into it, and he's in the Sarlacc. And that was the question. Are we going to see him get out of the Sarlacc? And the answer is yes. My question is, where the hell did that stormtrooper come from? There was no stormtroopers on Jabba's palace, right? Am I wrong about that? I feel like there wasn't, or around that. But but again, he could have just been digesting. They said it many times over, digesting for thousands of years, whatever. So here he is, and he's in the belly. He's got to get out. He uses the oxygen of the stormtrooper, and he pops out of the sand, which was fantastic. Goes around the other side, gets out. But this is the best shot of the whole entire series. This is what you were wondering for years. What the hell happened to Boba Fett? And right there it is. That is the best shot, one of the best shots in new Star Wars. That you're just geeking out as a kid. Like if I sent this to my friend John Pinto, who's a casual fan, a big Star Wars fan, but a casual kind of movie fan in general, he'd lose his mind if I sent that, and he'd probably watch the series immediately. Like, look at that. That is such a great scene. The only thing that I will say that I wish they would have done. It's not. There's a fix for it, but the one thing that I wish they would have done is they just got the deepfake guy from the I don't know, I can't remember the name of the channel, but he's incredible, and he deepfaked Luke or the Mandalorian. It looked much better than what they actually did. He deepfaked Tarkin. It looked much better than what they actually did, and Lucasfilm hired him. I wish they would have deepfaked Tamora Morrison in these scenes. I know that he probably didn't because there's a lot of these flashback scenes, but he looks the same age, and it's like, how many? Well, I guess it's only 5 years, right? 5, something like that. So it's not too far off, but I don't know. Maybe they didn't have to do it too much, and plus the fact, I guess the fix is that he's so tattered up and so pale from being where he is that who cares? And it's not something that bothered me. There's only one thing in this episode that really I was like, I could have done without it, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But this shot, best shot of the whole, and I could just imagine how Robert Rodriguez did a great job. The music in this is great. Ludwig composed a lot of the themes, but he did not do the score. Can't remember the person's name who did the score, but it really worked for this new tone, and it separated itself well from The Mandalorian. And then the Tusken Raiders come in, man. The Sand People come in, and they find, well, before even we get to that, those little bastards, the little Jawas come in and they strip him. We finally figure out and find out how he lost all his armor. Sand People just come in. They are wretched little turds. They really are. They don't leave you. They leave you for dead. They smack you in the head with a thing. They go, you figure it out if you're gonna live or not. We're just taking all your shit, and that's exactly what they did. They just ripped them off, and it's like being in certain neighborhoods in Queens when I was there, man. And anyway, so like he is out. He is out. The poor guy. He lasts the Sarlacc, which probably no one has ever done, or at least not heard about it. Gets out with his armor. They rip him off, and here come the Sand People. And the Sand People come in, and you don't know what they're going to do with him. Why are they taking him? And they ultimately they wake his ass up, take him, and then they drag him on. They drag him onto the village, and he's waking up in the village, and he's just like, what's next? And I love this scene. I love all of it because at this point you're like, because the name of it is, I forget, it's like A Man in a Strange Town or Stranger in whatever it's called. It's setting up two things. It's this part of him with the Sand People earning his stripes, the Tusken Raiders being in that village, trying to survive, and it's the same side as the mirror is him trying to pop as a crime lord and him trying to get respect. So he's been a bounty hunter all his life. So he's a stranger in both sides of it, which I loved. I loved the double meaning of this episode, and it made a lot of sense. But he's in the village, and they set up real well because you don't know what he's doing. He's just there, whether they're going to use him for labor or whatever they're going to do. And I like the side of the Sand People too. And it also sets up, it makes you feel for the Sand People a little bit, because there's that scene where there's that the woman Tusken Raider, and she comes out and Boba was about to strike her and he doesn't, and you're like, Anakin, and as a kid too, and you're like, Anakin killed. Now when he says I killed them all, the women and the children, and now you have a little bit more relate to, it becomes a little bit more devastating, that scene. Because it's such a short scene in Attack of the Clones that you never really attach to it. You hear him say it, but when you see a little bit more of how this village works and what they're doing, that they're not just kind of mindless creatures, they have a little bit more to do. It gives a little bit more merit to that scene in Attack of the Clones. So that's another thing I thought it did very well, and why I dug it. So, and then they have the relationship with the Rodian throughout the entire thing is great, because he's like, hey, and it shows a little bit more about Boba Fett. He's like, hey, all right, dude, you want me to help you out? I can use you. And it shows you basically what he did with Fennec, but he tries it with the Rodians. Like, you want me to cut your chains? I'll get you out of here. We can move. And this little prick starts screaming and yelling, and sends everybody off after Boba. So there's a great scene. I thought I took the shot. I didn't take it, but there's a shot of when he tries to escape, because he doesn't. Boba has they really paint Boba, because with this show you gotta like Boba, and he can't just be kind of a ruthless criminal and a ruthless bounty hunter, and you can't, because the Tony Soprano, Walter White angle in Disney and in Star Wars, as cool as it could be, they're not going to do it, right? Because you're not going to get, you got to have some kind of redeeming qualities. And they set it up in Mandalorian. It wasn't just that. He's got code he wants to honor, and he says it in this episode. He says, Jabba ruled with fear. I don't want to rule with fear. I want to rule with respect. It's what he looked for all of his life. It's what he wants to do. It's how he rolls. If he shows, if you screw around with him, he'll wipe you out, but he's going to give you a shot. And that's what he does with the Rodian. And then so he whatever the terrier thing is, he doesn't kill that thing. Could, but he doesn't. He just wipes its head and he goes, listen. And he even says it to later. There's no hard feelings, mate. And he said, chill out. I'm getting out of here. And he's exhausted still, and the Tusken Raiders chase him down. And like, okay. And the chief is like, you get in there and kick this guy's ass. He's exhausted. He kicks his ass. And then we get back. We start to now get into what we all thought through the trailer, what the show was going to focus on, and that's Boba as the new crime lord. Boba taking Jabba's palace, and Fennec by his side. Fennec wakes him up and says, "Get up, boss! It's time to move." And he looks a lot better now, obviously, from what we just saw in the flashback. And he's moving through, and he gets dressed, and he's got the droids helping him out get into the suit, and then he sits down on the throne, and this is most of this scene coming up. I loved the tribute of, this is the new guy, we got to pay respect, and people start coming in and start paying respect to him. And so you get the first tribute comes in, and he's like, okay, here's what we can give you. thank you very much, get lost. And then this great scene with the guy he used to work with, and he says, we hope you stay here forever. And he's like, even when they give you a compliment, it sounds like a threat. And now we get to the part, I didn't like this guy. I didn't like him. And I tell you, it's probably the same problem I have. It's not the character so much, and it's not even the acting performance. He seemed out of place speaking English. It was the same problem I had with Lady Proxima in Solo. And I know that we see there's certain times when people like are speaking basic or aliens, and it works. But this guy didn't seem like he was in Star Wars for some reason. It seemed like he was in a different, like, I don't know, Mayor says this. Oh, let me, I don't know. He could win me over because this guy, he's not going away anywhere. The mayor, that's going to be a big part of the show. You can tell the way that it's set up. He's like, and I liked the story beat of it. I liked the idea of, okay, we're here. Mayor couldn't make it. He sent me. All right, well, what's the mayor giving you? Oh, that was the other thing. A little misunderstanding here. Mayor, he's not giving you anything. Oh, all right, well, we'll take your thanks. Oh, other misunderstanding. Where's the thing you're supposed to give us? You're like, no, we're going to let you live. How about that? Oh, that's where you want to play? Okay, I'll tell the mayor. All that's great. It just was the delivery of this is the one part of the whole show, the delivery of it just felt a little off to me. And it could get better. There could be some more to it. I just didn't feel like this guy was in it the way that I felt, and it wasn't the acting. It was just the performance of it. And I think that maybe, however, Robert Rodriguez wanted to play this particular scene, but I hope, and it's very possible that whether it's episode 3, 4, 5, whenever this guy comes back, I'm like, hey, remember what I said in episode 1? Won me over. I'm into it now. But didn't work for me. But what did work for me was right afterwards. Loved this scene with the two Gamorrean guards coming in, and they're like, yeah, you gotta kill him. You gotta wipe him out. And this is the whole theme of this episode is you gotta do things the old way and show power the way that Jabba did, because that's how people will start to fear you, and they'll know you're for real. And he's like, and he says to the guards, he goes, listen, you were very loyal to Jabba, you were very loyal to Bib Fortuna, will you be loyal to me? And they kneel. And they say, and that's them going, yeah, we'll be loyal to you. And Fennec turns over and she goes, I don't know, it's a bad idea. And he's like, I'm just going to trust my gut. I'm going to go with it, and I'm going to move. And it turns out in this episode, at least, that it's the right move, because they come in and they save him later on. And I loved seeing them fight and do their thing. So all the stuff that you it was very similar to me, like what they did with the Krayt Dragon in episode 1 of season 2 Mandalorian. It's like all these things that you wanted to see as a kid that they just didn't have enough time with in Return of the in the movies. And that's one of the things I love. If you're brand new to the channel, I have been yelling from the heavens that I think Star Wars is much better fit in television than it is on big screen because of stuff like this. This is a 45-minute episode, and in a movie you'll probably have another hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes or so to tell the rest of the story. That's like, 2 more episodes and then it's over, as opposed to these 10 episodes I think we're getting, or 9 episodes, I can't remember, but however many episodes it is, I think it's 9, however many episodes it is, you have it, let it breathe and set up a structure. And that's what we're doing here. Whether the Gamorreans are going to wind up turning on them later on or not, you have that possibility, right? You have all these, the setup of the tone of the respect and the idea of how you're going to rule and the back and forth of the stuff that happened in his past and the stuff that's happening now and how it all intertwines. This is why I think it's a great setup, and it's a really good setup for the rest of the season, if they particularly do it this way, or they might switch it up and do it another way. But I thought Robert Rodriguez did a great job in setting us up and getting us into what this is about. And then I love this. They go into the town, and Fennec said, you got to let them carry you. You got to let them carry you. He's like, I don't want them to carry me. I'm not going to run around like a lazy noble or whatever he says. He's like, I'm not. Why am I going to do that? I'm gonna walk in on my feet like a proud fighter that I've always been, and I'm going to do it differently. And that's the structure of what he's been set up. I'm like not doing it. And he says as much. So I'm not doing it the way that they did in the past. I'm doing it my way. Because you're dealing with a different kind of politic here. And you can tell once Jennifer Beals comes in, and this is the way that they've always done it. And it's very, and it mirrors many different societies over the course of history. It's like they want you to do it the way it's been done. And then there are certain people that try to come in and do it a different way. They either succeed and they're remembered forever, or they try and they get wiped out, or they're not respected. And this is the type of politics in Star Wars that I love when it's done right. And this is politics, but it's done in a gangster way. And there's a politics in Sopranos, and the way that the hierarchy and how you get it done and how you play it and who you make friendships with and all that kind of stuff. And that's what they're doing here. So I love the way that they're setting all this up. And they walk into the town, and then they go over to the casinos, and you see Nice Noodles playing in the background, and Jennifer Beals comes up. She looks great, by the way, and I love her character right away. And then he's like, yeah, okay, Lord Fett, here's your payment. Here's what you get. Sure, it's like, oh, I didn't realize that it was you because they didn't carry you in. And he's like, yeah, I don't do that. And she's like, oh, all right, apologies. And she's got to be doing whether or not she sent out those guards to come out and get him later on, we're going to find out, but she's going to play a bigger part. So this is another thing that I'm really loving about this show, is setting up all the players. Is she on his side? Is she not on his side? Who's she working with? Is she working with the mayor? Like all these characters that are now being set up in this episode. It's like, this is the gangster story that we wanted. And I love the way that it goes back and forth. And we'll get into the ending of it, but it was enough time. And with 45 minutes, I was worried when I saw it. I'm like, we're not going to have enough time. We had more than enough time. We had enough time to set up what he did with the Tusken Raider side of the camp and how that story starts and how it ends with the stuff that is now being set up with him trying to gain respect inside of this new career that he has. And Fennec is still, that's what I loved about Ming-Na again. Oh, she's so great. And she's so great. And she stays consistent to the character that she's been playing, whether it is in the Bad Batch or in Mandalorian. She's loyal to this guy because this guy saved her life. And she tells him straight up, and she's like, can I be honest? He goes, yes, speak freely. Let me know. And they did it a couple times, by the way. A couple things that you thought, the misdirects in the trailer. Like there's the one scene where she's talking to the mayor's guy, and she says to him, if you would have done that to Jabba, he would have fed you, or to the rank, or whatever she says to him, would have had you killed. And we thought that she was saying that to that table of other gangsters, right? And then when he says speak freely, whether he's saying it again or whether he's actually saying it to Fennec in this episode, which I think it is, because Boba's playing it. Boba's not wiping people out. Fennec, if he's up to Fennec would be killing everybody. She wanted to blast the mayor's guy. She wanted to blast everybody. He's like, nah, we're not doing it that way. And I think that's age. That reminds me of me in the comments section. A couple of years ago, you just want to yell at everybody. And now it's like, no, just chill out, talk to people. But anyway, so then they get their payment from Jennifer Beals, where she's going to appear later on in the story, we do not know. And all hell breaks loose in the street as they're coming out. And those freaking Jawas again, man. You'd figure that, well, maybe Boba doesn't really, he could have been pretty unconscious and out of it. Maybe he doesn't even realize that the Sand People wiped him out. He probably just assumes it. But they wipe this little bastards again. They steal all the money that they just got, all this payment. And then here come these guys with this crazy ass system that they got them blocked in like ninjas. They can't get out. And that's when the Gamorreans come in, save them. And all hell breaks loose, and Boba does it. You see that viciousness of Boba that's shot. I was hoping, because he in the trailer he swings that axe, and you're like, oh, he's going hardcore. And I was hoping they weren't going to go like, okay, he's saving everybody now, and they're going to show the axe kind of go next to the guy. No, he wipes the guy out. He takes him out. And then one of my favorite parts in the whole show is this: he is pissed off, and he sees one of these guys going, and he just blows him up. And like 2 seconds later, he tells Fennec, he goes, alive, and he's not saying alive because he wants him. He doesn't want her to kill. Because he wants to find out what the hell's going on, what happened, who's doing this. And Fennec goes, all right, and she runs up. She catches both of them. She dumps the one guy over and kills him, which I thought was great. She's like, okay, I told him he told me one of you alive. I don't need you both alive. Keeps the other one alive. and then we're going to find out exactly, or at least try to get some information out of him. Great scene. And it also is it let Fennec shine at that point as she's running through, and she's got to find a way to catch these guys, and they're pretty skilled too. And it's a great scene on the roof, but they don't overplay it. It's enough to where, okay, she's going to try to get him. Looks like she's jumping off the roof. She goes around the other side, kills one of them, takes the other one hostage. Great scene. And that's what I loved about this show. Short, sweet. The stuff that they say and the dialogue inside of it, go. You're setting me up enough. Let's move. So, and then we get back to, because now Boba's all messed up again, because he got shocked by one of the guards. So the Gamorreans stick him in the tank. He goes back and he's having these dreams, as he tells Fennec again, I'm having the dreams again. She didn't really give a shit when he told her too, by the way. She's like, all right, yeah, we got stuff to do. I want to hear about your dreams. But we go to the dreams again, or not even the dreams, the flashbacks of his life. And they show, and I wonder how much more they're going to spend in the flashbacks of Tatooine. Is this going to be are they going to continue on? Are they going to show you him working more so with Sand People? Because the reason I asked that, if this particular scene didn't happen, I would assume that they move on to another side of it and show what he was doing during Empire or what he was doing during these other times, but the only reason I think they might stick with the Tusken Raiders is because of the way that they set this up. They go before they're hunting for the water pods and all that, they see these raiders kind of going through and killing off villagers or whatever they're doing and taking off and looking and Boba looks concerned about it. So I don't know if they're gonna play with that storyline. I don't necessarily think that they have to, but maybe they do. I don't know. But they do start to set up more, and that's like the Tusken kid who is there. And Boba could smack this kid around. He doesn't. He drinks a little of the water, and the kid tries to hit him. He's like, "No, I'm going to take a drink." He's like, "No, you're not. Give it back to me. I'm going to have the beast kind of drink." And then as they move through though, and then this thing, man, this was a cool creature. Because I was worried that what they do. They wake up another crate dragon. We saw that already. And the Rodian had his chance. Rodian blew it. Boba tried to tell him again. He's like, "Look, man, we could have gotten out of here together, except you start screaming like an idiot. And I had a shot to get it. Could have gotten us off world, and we can still do it if you let's get out of here." And the Rodian just doesn't want to do it. Just wants to be a little prick. And what happens to him? He gets choked out by this thing. And not only gets choked out, he gets smashed into the sand, and nobody gives a shit about him at the end. So, tough shit, Pally. Look at you. But there's the scene, Boba comes in, does what he's got to do, helps out the kid, rips off the thing's, they cut the thing's head off, which I got to be honest, though, too. The thing was just sleeping. He was just sleeping. Taking a nap, and somebody starts messing with you. He's like, "Get away from me. I'm trying to nap. My show starts in a half an hour, and then you idiots are waking me up. I'm going to kill this thing, and then I'm going to kill you." And then they cut his head off? That sucks. But either way, this is a great scene. Goes back to the village. The kid's excited, and the chief gives him the water, and now Boba's accepted. Right? That's where we land. Phenomenal episode. Great way to set it all up and start it, and I think that either you're going to get people that if you weren't into, well, I wasn't really into Boba Fett, I didn't really care, but there are people who just kind of stamp their feet down and say, this is just, like I said, it drives me crazy when people go, this makes the galaxy smaller. It doesn't. This is a subsect of that we've always heard about with the crime underlord and all that hasn't really been explored. Minus Jabba doing a couple things. So what? Boba Fett's in it. He's the familiar face inside this world of the crime. Like, I'm so fascinated by the crime world on Tatooine and all that. Like, are we sticking on Tatooine? Are we going off world? I don't know. Do we necessarily need to? Like, in Obi-Wan, I'll be honest, I want to see him go off world. And especially now that we spend so much time in Tatooine in this show, I think that it's a guarantee we're going off world in Obi-Wan. How much time do we spend off world? Now, this is another reason why I think that they might do this structure and set up this structure for when they're setting up the structure of the stuff that's happened in Boba's past to the stuff that's happening now. I think that should be the overall structure of the show. It makes it different than Mandalorian and other shows that they've done or other things that they've done. Which would be great. And it also brings back a little bit of that familiarity that we've seen in the past, that it doesn't, like when they showed the Clone Wars scene, it was great. They didn't spend too much time. They used it to show you that Boba is still pained by the death of his father, the death of the clone, but to him, his father. They show you within seconds of how, here's that question. How did he get out of the Sarlacc pit? That's how. How did he lose his armor? That's how. How did he do? I mean, these questions that were set up, but it wasn't like, what's your name? Solo. What? No. It was set up in a way like, oh, okay. Really love this episode. I told you my one gripe. I just wish they would have used alien subtitles for that one character. Same dialogue. Everything's great. It's just there was something about the way that he delivered it. Just didn't feel like he was in Star Wars to me. But other than that, digging it. What I really dig, besides the score and all that I mentioned, and the direction by Robert Rodriguez, who I think was fantastic in his direction. You can tell he really loves Boba Fett, as does Favreau, who produced. The art. And this is something that I hope that they continue to do. You can tell that the art and the idea of how they imagine certain scenes and they show the art at the end is what they did with The Mandalorian both seasons, and then they're doing this. I hope they do this with all of the shows, and I hope they don't do the thing that they did with the movies, which I think was so stupid, when they we're not doing crawls for movies that are outside the saga trilogy. Why? It's Star Wars. That's Star Wars. That's part of it. Like when you play Knights of the Republic, they do that. When they have certain things that I love. They didn't necessarily do it in Clone Wars, but Clone Wars was less, and serialized television. I understand that. If they're like, well, we're not going to do a crawl for every episode of television. I get that. But the movies do a crawl. Same way for the TV shows, do the art. Because there's always going to be the art and the setup, and I hope they continue to do it, because the art is gorgeous when you look at the stuff that they set up at the end there with the music as they play it. And I still, my favorite, once it's time, I'm going to start, putting out, I don't know if I'm going to make a poster out of this thing or whatever, but this is, where is it? No, that's not it. This is my favorite shot. One of my favorite shots in all of Star Wars. I was waiting for this for so long. It's so great. It's so great. It's just, that was a really great scene. And Tamora Morrison doing a great job as Boba Fett. He's so kind of subtle in the role, and I like what they're setting up with Boba now. They're giving him so much more depth of how he is, what he's done. And I'm curious if they're going to play, because look, they could put, and this is where I say it doesn't, like when they put certain characters in the show, if it makes sense, I'm all for it. Like if they go on a mission before, because remember Darth Vader says to him at one point, he goes, "No disintegrations." At what point did he put, and I don't know if they explain it in the comics, I can't remember in the canon comics, but at what point did he disintegrate someone? And Vader was like, "No, don't do that." I wonder if Vader will show up in a mission. Do they need him? No, they don't necessarily need him. But if they show up for a certain mission and it kind of plays in, 9 episodes. So the Book of Boba and chapters of his life combined with this new chapter. I hope that's the direction that they go. I'm on board with it, though. I'm excited for it. I think it's a really fun departure right now from Mandalorian, and then we'll be craving Mandalorian when it comes back. It sets up, and we get, we're gonna get Obi-Wan, got all these new series. I love Star Wars TV, man, and I know you guys. I know a lot of you guys love the movie still. And if I get a movie, in a couple of years, am I gonna go see it? Am I gonna watch it? Of course, I'm gonna watch it. Am I craving a new movie in the theater? No, I'm not. I'm sorry, but I am loving Star Wars television. We have a show, and it's good for those people who, I don't know if you're watching Marvel shows or not, but they just wrapped Hawkeye, and it's a very different tone, obviously, from Hawkeye, which there's no reason to say they were trying to. It's two different companies in Marvel and Star Wars, but if you're watching it as a viewer, it's very different It's a very different feel. So this is a fun Star Wars chapter to start to play in, because the other side of it too is you're getting Obi-Wan. Like for me, I've still been missing the Jedi, the Sith lore, all of that stuff. But we got it with Ahsoka, we got it with Luke, we got it in Mandalorian, and we're going to get more of it in Obi-Wan. So this is the stuff that television does, and we're going to get it with Ahsoka. So this stuff that comes in now, that play, and the Acolyte too is another one. But this is the stuff that now, because of television, you're like, okay, well now I want to play in this world. Now I want to play in the gangster world of the underworld of Star Wars, and that's what they're doing. Like I want to see some darkness. Not even necessarily, because there's going to be betrayals, there's going to be backstabbing. Because even Boba says it. He's like, I'm the crime lord. I'm the guy. And it's like, but you do need to be ruthless inside of it. And Boba shows he can be ruthless. He blew up a guy up with a rocket. So that side of it's pretty exciting. I don't know, man. I'm digging it. What about you guys? Are you excited about this show? Do you like this show? I've been commenting back to everybody on this channel. As I said, it's a brand new channel. Subscribe to it, please. It's been up for, we've been really pushing this channel for about 3.5, 4 months now. We just crossed 30,000 subscribers, so thank you for everybody there. If you're brand new to it, please subscribe. This is the Sith Council show. This is a shorter episode, though, but it's a longer kind of spoiler-specific episode of Boba Fett. But normally I'm here with Steph Sabra and Mike Kalinowski. We'll be doing deep dives into it. I might be doing, and I'm curious, you guys can maybe answer this question in the comment section. What similar to what I did with Spider-Man, I did a spoiler-heavy review by myself, like this, and then I did a spoiler discussion show with Winston and Coy. Should I do the same thing for these episodes? So something like this. Like I can't do it this week with Mike and Steph because it's still during the break, but I was thinking maybe I could do something like this, break it down, take the pictures like I just did, dive into it, talk to you guys about it, and then just do a discussion with Mike and Steph on Sith Council. Or just do one episode like this. Very curious to what you guys would say. One is enough? Do both? Let me know. Very curious to hear what you think. But once again, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so very much for joining me. I appreciate it. And we'll see you next week for Book of Boba Fett and so many other things on this channel. But obviously, Book of Boba Fett next Wednesday. All right, guys. Peace out. Thank you. Oh, subscribe on podcast form as well. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. All right. Peace out.
I can feel